Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today I'm answering a few frequently asked questions that I get from several clients of mine, usually that are going through some type of relationship issues or marital issues, whatever you want to call it, kind of relationship stuff. And so these are just a few that I get quite a lot, so I thought I'd answer them for everybody. So let's really talk about this. So really, I get a lot of questions like, how can I make my marriage better? Or how can I make my relationship better? And I will tell you, not only setting healthy boundaries for yourself, but really maintaining healthy boundaries for your partner. And so if you are the one that's always climbing over the boundaries and you kind of know that about yourself, you're the one who has to set those boundaries of kind of like, I need to step back. I've had many clients that have had like really good boundaries shown to them, and they really maintain their healthy boundaries. But everybody else's healthy boundaries, they're like, let me climb on over these, almost like it's an obstacle kind of thing. The next thing I will say is that can help relationships more than anything else is really communication. And I know it sounds like cliche. It's kind of like, oh, let's talk about it. It really is important. And a lot of it isn't just talking about what's coming up. So-and-so has a soccer practice, or so-and-so has baseball practice, or we need a school teacher meeting, or whatever it is. What I would say is kind of keeping that balance of like being a couple of like, how do you feel about this? How do I feel about this? Kind of ideas or suggestions. But then also part of it should be a balance of it should be talking about like the family things. So-and-so has basketball practice or baseball practice or all that kind of family stuff. Your mom wants to come for dinner on this day, or we can do this on this day. That kind of communication, like the family stuff, is really important. But I will almost say that even more important is the couple communicating. How do you feel about this? Now, couples love talking about different things. Some couples love sports. Some people love the news. Some people, I have couples that love politics, and I think that's kind of interesting. But it's one of those, like, whatever you and your spouse or relationship really love talking about, make sure you talk about that. Give that time to just like talk about other things besides the family or whatever else. Make sure you have time, because the family, the job, the blah, 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 friends or whatever else, that's important. But I will say this is even more important. Talking about like, how do you feel about this? Or, I'm saying, I think we need to change the carpet out in this room, or I think we need to go from carpet to hardwood floors. What are the benefits? What are what are your ideas about the color? All that kind of stuff. Getting their input is, I can't even put it, like, it's the foundation. Getting someone else's insight into all of that is just, the most important thing, really, because you're giving them a voice. Now, doesn't mean that you have to side with them all the time, but letting them have an input. Like, I like this color and you hate this color. It's one of those, it really helps both of you understand where each other's coming from, who's making allowances, who's giving up. Like, I'll, succeed and, you can have your way on this one and I'll get the next one. And so it really does make it more bearable, more understandable in that realm of communication. So that's really, really important. Because like the family stuff is good, but this stuff is almost like kind of somewhat better. One of the things that I get asked a lot is kind of like, a relationship is going bad. And these are usually a sign that a relationship is really going bad. Now, lack of intimacy. If you are always, not talking to each other, not communicating how you feel about that, it's one of those, that's already a lack of intimacy. And then you bring that into the bedroom and it makes it even worse. And if you're not talking about how that person feels or how they felt about this or whatever else, getting their input, when you go into the bedroom, it's like, I haven't been heard. I haven't been understood. You haven't even tried to understand what I'm going through or anything else. So that kills intimacy more than anything else. I will say, I've been in a couple of relationships like this, and it's one of those, if you feel like you can't communicate without the other person erupting in emotions, it's over. To me, that's like just it's dead. It is completely dead. If that other person in your relationship is like, I have to tell my husband that I had a wreck in the car, and you're afraid he's going to yell or scream or get very emotional or upset or whatever else, the relationship's over. It's already like on the downhill slide. No one is going to stay in that for very long. Most people are going to be like, after a certain period of time, like, I'm out. I will say the next one is kind of any type of abusive behavior in a relationship, to me, is a get out of jail free card. It's one of those emotional abuse, physical abuse, any of that, sexual abuse, whatever that is. If there is abuse, it's like walk out, because it's never going to get better. Most people have that opportunity before they start having that abusive behavior where they could have made a change, where they could have made a difference, where they could have done something different, and they chose not to. They chose to keep going down that path. And so once they're down that path, they're not going to come back. They enjoy usually dominating over someone else, being someone else's, total world, total, saying infrastructure of what they can do and what they can't do and all that kind of stuff. They're not going to come back from that. So it's one of those, if you have an abusive relationship, any type of abuse, I would say that's one that needs to end. It means that you're in the wrong relationship with the wrong person. Definitely. I will say I get these questions quite often about different things. And so I think that's kind of the most important part. But I will say that you have to trust more than anything else that your partner is going to be there for you. You have to trust more than anything else that you can communicate with your partner and have good conversations about anything and everything all the time. How do you feel about this? How do you don't feel about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about the carpet? What do you think about the doll? What do you do? All of it has to be able to be communicated. Now, I'm not saying you have to talk constantly. I will say it's really important to know that you can talk if you choose to talk. Like sometimes it's nice to just sit down and watch a movie and not really have an evening of talking. That's okay. It's one of those, it's not like you have to communicate 24/7, 365. But it's important to know that you can communicate with someone else and be heard and felt like your side is being heard, even if your side doesn't win. I want to put green tile in this room, and they're like, I really hate green. So maybe you don't get your way, but at least you got heard. And I think that's what most people really get upset about, is not being the heard part. So let's do some angel cards and get us a little bit deeper insight into all my frequently asked questions. I will do another one of these. If you post a question, I will make sure that you get tagged in the video, because that's kind of fun to kind of get your question answered. That's a fun one. Okay, the first one is study. Study your partner. There are things that make your partner communicate. Healthy boundaries is one of them. When you're holding those healthy boundaries and you know what the healthy boundaries are, you've studied it. You have definitely studied that. Communication. What is it communicating to your partner? Important. If you're just babbling on about all kinds of stuff, no. It's important to communicate about important things or things that are important to you, but you don't have to just babble on. It's one of those, be careful with that part. Answered prayers. If you are hearing this, I guarantee it's an answered prayer. You're hearing this of saying like, wow, now I know kind of like some of the must-haves for couples, kind of the relationship killers. And it's one of those, hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight. I will be doing a couple more videos. I have more than this, but I didn't want it to go too long. Let's go into playfulness. I think that's the fun part. And it shouldn't just be playfulness in the bedroom area. It should be playfulness in the living room and just talking and being silly and playing games, Monopoly or Parcheesi or whatever it is, and just kind of getting a way to communicate with your partner and really get a chance to communicate, not just watching TV all the time, not just watching video games all the time, but playfulness of talking and doing things together and enjoying that time. Body care. When you feel like you're being heard, I guarantee it changes your body. It changes your rhythm. It changes your hormones. When you feel like you're in a secure relationship that I can communicate, I can talk to somebody else and feel heard and feel like my side is being heard. Even if I don't get to win, I get heard. It does make a difference. And those expectations are amazing. this one, Archangel Michael, and I get this one is kind of all about the abuse. If you are in an abusive relationship, definitely get out, get some help, and kind of deal with that in your own way. But it's one of those, a lot of times it didn't start out abusive, it ended up abusive. And there were signs in there maybe that you're kind of like, okay, I thought I found a sign in here. But I think that's important. Like once it gets to the abusive stage or even close to that area, you need to call in the experts. You need to call in a therapist. You need to call in somebody else. Who else can help out, or who else can give you a great insight into what's going on and make sure that you're taking care of yourself. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.